Welcome back to Bobb-z Callahan's Word of Advice. And today, if you've been following on the Facebook page for Bobb-z Callahan's Word of Advice, today, March 22nd, 2013, is the 3-year anniversary since I first started making Word of Advice videos. And also today, on March 22nd, is the 6th-month anniversary since I started this new series of Word of Advice videos, which have hopefully been a step up from the original ones. So today has been an anniversary kind of day for Bobb-z Callahan's Word of Advice. I definitely hope the new Word of Advice videos have been coming in handy for those of you watching them, and maybe my advice has been inspiring and helpful and has possibly passed on a new point of view for everyone to think about. And in honor of the anniversary for Bobb-z Callahan's Word of Advice, I thought today's topic could be an exceptionally special one and a topic that is important for everyone to remember. Today's topic, which I'm going to talk about, is on the subject of commitment. I think it's an important topic to talk about because the majority of us in this life commit to certain things, and I believe when it comes to commitment, there are two important pieces of advice which I would like to pass on to everybody, since most of us commit to things in this life. The first thing which I would like to talk about when it comes to commitment is that I believe it's important for all of us to think very thoroughly about the decision of committing to something. Whether that's committing to serving at a church for a certain amount of time, or committing to a new relationship, or committing to a new job which you want. I believe before we commit to something, whatever it is, we should take some time to really think about that commitment which we are going to make. Because I know in some cases, once we commit to something, if it doesn't work out, it's not always easy to get out of that commitment which we once decided to go through with, and sometimes the fallout is not always pretty. Let's say, for example, you are committing to a new relationship which you believe will be awesome, but then 3 months later you discover that your relationship with somebody is taking a very ugly turn, and depending on how far you are into that relationship, the fallout may be a very ugly one. Let's say, for example, you get married to somebody because you want to make that lifelong commitment to being with another person. That's especially something which both people should think about thoroughly before each person decides to live with each other for the rest of their lives. And I think this is one of those examples which people should really think about thoroughly before committing to it, because, you know, while no relationship is perfect, there are some relationships and marriages which do not last. And yeah, it is kind of a guess, because we're not sure if our relationship is going to last with somebody else. But, you know, if you don't think out about your decision when it comes to committing to something or somebody, then that is not the best thing to do, because if you don't take the time to think about it before committing, there may be a fallout between you and somebody else, or you and something which you committed to, because what you committed to may not be what you pictured it to be. Now, there are other cases where you can break out of a commitment much easier. Let's say, for example, you start your own videos, like I have, and you are completely in charge of the videos which you make. Well, since you are in charge of what you are doing in that case, then you can break out of that commitment whenever you want to. Me, I could always say, after I'm done with this certain video, I'm going to stop making word of advice videos for good, since I am ultimately in charge of the word of advice videos now. You see, this is a commitment which I've decided to go through with as well for a second time, and I think it's been a great idea. And I have a goal to make word of advice videos until March of 2014. So, if you can see the point I'm trying to get through with this example, it's that I have made a commitment to something which I have more control of, and I can break out of it easier. Some commitments are like that, where you can break out of them easier, opposed to other commitments which are much harder to break out of and may have an uglier fallout. So, that's kind of the first point that I wanted to get through when it comes to the topic of commitment. And number two, if there is any other piece of advice that I would like to pass on when it comes to commitment, is that I believe we should all be prepared for the possibility that a certain commitment will not work out. Even if we have thoroughly thought about going through with that certain commitment. A lot of us have this certain idea about how a certain commitment is going to look like. And sometimes certain commitments do not work out, even if we have thoroughly thought about them beforehand. But that's okay if some commitments don't work out. Yeah, some commitments may be harder to get out of, but not everything we commit to is going to work out. And sometimes God calls us to go somewhere differently or be with somebody different. We all make mistakes sometimes, and sometimes commitments that we go through with just simply don't work out. But that is okay. And when you are in that case where a commitment does not work out, remember, God definitely has something down the road which is different and will be a much better commitment for you. And I would say never give up if you are feeling discouraged because a certain commitment has not worked out for you. It is easy for discouragement to come into your mind when a certain commitment has not worked out. But I have no doubt that there are other opportunities for everyone out there after a certain commitment has not worked out. So just keep this in mind as well when it comes to committing to something, and if something you've committed to just doesn't work out. And never give up if you are feeling discouraged because a certain commitment has not worked out for you. And with that, this is pretty much all the advice that I have to talk about when it comes to the topic of commitment. In the end, I would say thoroughly think about the decision you're going to make when it comes to committing to something, and just always be prepared for the possibility that some commitments may not work out, even if you have thoroughly thought about them. And just always keep on going after some commitments don't work out, and also if you enjoy the commitments that you have gone through with, definitely try to enjoy them as best as you can, and I hope everyone out there grows from the opportunity which you have committed to and is working out very well. With that, this is pretty much all that I have to talk about in this video. I certainly hope your commitments will work out as best as they can. I hope the advice I've had to talk about in this video will come in handy. And come back for another word of advice video. Happy anniversary!